All eyes on Parliament and Supplementary Budget. Targeted testing to begin. And mental health crucial during lockdown period.
This is the National EMTV News with Jeremy Moggy.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's news. The World Health Organization has recommended for a safe and healthy recovery in mental health and psychosocial responses to COVID-19 for good mental health. The Directorate of Social Change and Mental Health Services is encouraging citizens throughout the nation to call their hotline to cope with stress during this time. They want citizens to know they are not alone during this period and talking to someone can really help.
The Directorate of Social Change and Mental Health Services have come out with a mental health response. With their hotline, which is now available to anyone, their aim is to help citizens cope with stress during the COVID-19 pandemic. Directorate Acting Director Dr. Uma Ambi says it is time for us to protect ourselves and also be supportive to others.
It is a very stressful moment and we have to give psychological first aid to the people. You can use this hotline, kiss him some kind survey or some kind guidance or some kind counseling or some we are the team, we have already have it and we are ever ready to help it.
Dr. Ambi also advises citizens to avoid watching, reading or listening to news that causes them to feel anxious or distressed. Instead, seek information mainly to take practical steps to prepare your plans and protect yourself and loved ones. Limit information updates to specific times during the day once or twice. And get the facts from reliable sources and websites instead of believing rumors.
No can fright, fear is normal within few weeks and cross is normal, feeling stress and anxious are normal. We can always guide you when it becomes abnormal. Right now, look him awesome, strong him lo Papa God, prayer am important, exercise am important at this point of time. Walk him, if you can't go, walk him style blow you stop. Come out with different activities.
The mental health team can be reached on 79074944. They are available Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m.
And this hotline number is very crucial at this time because it is important that anyone at all, whether you are a general public or frontline workers, anybody at all in the country, you'll be helped on whatever you are asking for.
The mental health team will be at your service. They are only one call away. Lilian Sopera-Kenea, National EMTV News.
Lays Police have been assisting the Morobe Provincial Health Authority during the state of emergency in carrying out awareness on the preventive measures of COVID-19 to communities around the city. According to the Lay Metropolitan Superintendent Commander, Chief Inspector Chris Kunyanban, they will also continue their primary roles in keeping the city safe. Kunyanban has called on members of the public to be responsible during the COVID-19 crisis and refrain from engaging in criminal activities.
I'd like to stress to the criminals, do not take opportunity for this to try to do anything stupid because we will not entertain this. The police will still come after you in the event if you start doing anything or take advantage of the situation in the COVID operation and attacking people or public or business owners or private run business or government sectors who are conducting operation to assist. The police will definitely come in full force of law to make sure that those criminals, whoever commit crime during this operation, will also be brought to justice.
And to COVID-19 stories related abroad, the number of New Zealanders who could die from the coronavirus in the worst-case scenario if it spreads out of control, 58 new confirmed and probable cases, the total now 647, nearly all of them recovering at home. But 14 people are still in hospital, 2 of them in intensive care units but in stable condition, and the good news is 74 have recovered.
Lakes District Hospital in Queenstown, where a nurse is tested positive for COVID-19. 36 other staff are now awaiting their test results.
At the moment, the emergency department is still open, so there's an ability to respond to acute needs. It's just the inpatient care, which is usually a very small number of people anyway.
An investigation is underway into how the nurse contracted the virus. The health worker had not been directly caring for 2 COVID-19 patients at the hospital.
Those frontline medical staff are the frontline soldiers in fighting this battle. We want them to stay safe.
The Queenstown Lakes District is already a hotspot for the virus, with 31 cases recorded, a number of them likely due to community transmission. Several cases have been linked to the World Hereford Conference earlier this month.
I think that's always a concern. In any case, actually, we want to be really clear about and investigate thoroughly to find out where they got the case from.
Some patients have now been transferred to Dunstan and Southland Hospital in Invercargill. Jim Bolt wants everyone to take the lockdown seriously.
That again just underscores the need for people to do the right thing by them and self-isolate.
All of the staff who had close contact with the nurse are now self-isolating for 14 days.
The government in India has imposed a strict lockdown across the country to stop the spread of coronavirus. As a result, hundreds of thousands of people have lost their jobs and homes and are struggling for food. Many are leaving the cities they work in and are walking back to their villages.
Panic and chaos. These people who have moved across this vast country for work demand they be allowed to go home. A complete lockdown has meant they have no work and no money. In the country's capital, Delhi, the desperate head for their faraway villages on foot. Journeys so grueling, some won't make it home. At least 6 people have died en route. Others scramble onto buses, trying to get out however they can. To curb the movement of people, borders between Indian states are sealed overnight. But some, like Wajid Khan and his wife, insist they will march to their village.
What can the government do? My son is sick. If they really cared, they wouldn't have stopped people from coming out or stopped transport. Now if he dies by the time we reach, who will take responsibility?
Now the Prime Minister has apologized to the people, asking them to stay where they are, promising food and shelter. I'm outside a food distribution center being run by the government, and most of the people queuing up here are families of daily wage laborers who are out of work right now because of the lockdown. Some of them could not leave the city to go back to their villages, and some chose to stay. But now, stuck here, they say they are totally dependent on government aid. It is a long wait, and mothers complain there is no milk for their children.
We are very worried. We have come here to get some food to eat. There are no jobs and money. Our children are hungry.
The ruling party admits it's a huge challenge.
In a population of 1.3 billion, hundreds of millions of people are currently observing the lockdown, are currently being able to meet all the requirements that have been put in place. Yes, a few million stand affected, but that's what is the effort on to eliminate that problem too.
For many, that is a difficult wait. And as the lockdown tightens, they have an uphill journey ahead.
In Europe, Spain is one of the hardest hit countries with a death toll of more than 7,700. But as tougher restrictions come into force, there's some hope the tide is turning on the numbers.
The new normal in Spain. The country's once buzzing capital is now a virtual ghost town. Spain has been in lockdown for over 2 weeks. But now that's been tightened further, as non-essential workers have been told to stay at home. The spread of the virus through care homes has been one reason why the death rate in Spain has been so high. The vast majority of Spaniards have been complying with the terms of the national lockdown, but the government hopes that these new reinforced measures will help bring the virus under control. An all too common sight, ambulance after ambulance speeding through the streets. Over 12,000 healthcare workers have contracted the virus, and many feel they lack the protection they need.
It's frightening when your suit rips or when somebody's saliva gets on your face. That's when you're most afraid.
The government says the measures it has been taking are starting to pay off.
We are seeing an improvement in the number of infected citizens. We are seeing an improvement in terms of the curve starting to show a different trend.
The lockdown has been a challenge for Spaniards, a massive change of lifestyle for a society that loves to interact. But like so many across mainland Europe, singing seems to be cathartic. These young women who live opposite a hospital keep their spirits up by cheering the health workers who have suddenly become national heroes.
This is EMTV National News. We'll be back with more after the break. Welcome back to Tuesday's news. The effects of COVID-19, if and when it hits PNG, is being described as a ticking time bomb. Since January, mainstream media has been asking the same questions. Are we ready, and do we have the funding for COVID-19 at hand? The response from the Marape Stephen government has been mixed. To date, only 22.9 million kina has been released to the Department of Health. Of that, 200,000 kina is expected to be given to each province and 2 million kina to be given to the PNG IMR. Apart from that, the media is still unaware of the breakup of the 22.9 million kina. Last week, Prime Minister James Marape announced that Parliament would be called back to pass a supplementary budget that would restructure expected programs for 2020 to provide funding for the COVID-19 preparation. EMTV understands the supplementary budget will also include COVID-19 loans being offered by the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and the International Monetary Fund.
Multilateral partners who are willing to help us. We'll combine them all into a formal cabinet paper on Wednesday to announce exactly what level of support we're receiving from all organizations, including World Bank. So,
Prime Minister Marape stating that, if anything, COVID-19 has shown how weak and underfunded our health system are, and the need for the setup of essential isolation ward facilities in each province.
We are learning from this experience, and we will build a better system of healthcare delivery for our people, including, as I indicated 2 days ago, ensuring our health workers, ensuring our policemen, and ensuring our frontline defenders of our country, including our military, going on into the future.
But state-owned entities are stepping in to assist where they can. Como Petroleum Holdings presenting a check of 1 million kina to Puma Energy for fuel supply to police across the country. KPHL also in a media statement confirming the release of 5 million kina to the government out from the committed 100 million kina dividends paid forward to the government.
We needed a lot of stuff, and one of the things that we needed was fuel. And I rang the State Enterprises Minister, who then went around and asked companies if they could supply us with fuel. And we are so thankful and honored that some of the companies came back in with a check for us to continue our services to our people in the country.
To date, since the beginning of PNG preparedness to COVID-19, a 3 million kina internal fund by the National Department of Health was used to have airports, medical checkpoints set up, a call center set up within NDOH, and the setup of 8 beds at Port Moresby General Hospital. That was over the period of January 27th to March 20th, when the first imported case was confirmed, and the government had no choice but to move operations out of the National Department of Health to Morata House. Today, the National Command Center has every needed agency in walking distance of each other.
We just want to thank everyone for their cooperation. There have been some challenges. There have been some issues with movements and understanding and information, especially as to how the SOE is being delivered in the provinces, especially. We will work through those minor challenges and make sure that if we are to live with the COVID-19 in the next 6 to 9 months, it'll be done in a more structured and a more effective way.
But questions of funding are still high on the agenda. So far, UNICEF has donated 500 sets of personal protective equipment, or commonly known as PPEs, to NDOH. These 500 sets, MTV understands, includes 500 face shields, 1,500 gowns, 1,000 heavy-duty rubber gloves, 20,000 surgical gloves, 5,000 surgical masks, and 10,000 surgical caps. The 500 sets unrealistically will not be able to cope with COVID-19 outbreak by WHO standards, as each component of the PPE are expected to be disposed of after usage. UNICEF and UN also assisting the government in setting up testing facilities and procuring of tents to be used as screening facilities for hospitals nationwide. NDOH and WHO conducting training for 25.
The PNG government recently requested support from Australia for 10,000 testing kits and was provided 1.7 million kina to support the PNG government's emergency and response efforts to COVID-19. And today, the Chinese embassy followed suit, presenting a check of $300,000, which is just over a million kina. This is PNG's second largest commitment, coming from bilateral partners to support the nation's efforts in the fight against COVID-19.
PNG's long-standing bilateral relations with China has seen its embassy here in Port Moresby donate a little over a million kina today, presented to the Foreign Affairs Minister Patrick Pruach at the Port Moresby General Hospital.
As China's situation getting better now, we are reciprocate. We will reciprocate Papua New Guinea's friendship to us by providing this small token. Apart from this piece of cash, and we also provide personal protective equipment. That's including facial masks, protecting clothing, and also some goggles, some temperature detectors. They are on the way because of the restriction imposed by many countries, and especially the airlines reduce their flights. So all the materials are waiting inside China to be exported out.
China, where the virus had originated from before spreading globally, is currently in a recovery phase. The ambassador here resonating the call of its leaders to join in an all-out global war against COVID-19.
Now we call for international cooperation to fight against this disease together. By working together, by building a community of shared future for mankind, we will finally prevail over this virus. And I believe by working together with PNG government, and we will achieve our goal. We will win the final battle against this disease.
The donation coming in timely as delay in certain areas for funding and vital equipment is taking its toll on the health department's already aging workforce.
We are doing all we can with our limited resources to try and contain this particular pandemic. We welcome the donation by the Chinese government. That will go a long way in assisting our general hospital in its effort to combat this particular coronavirus. We look forward to working closely with you on further support, because I think that you are leading in the world in terms of finding a solution to this particular pandemic.
Seen as a boost, the donation will go towards activities related to prevention, detection, management and treatment to ensure PNG is in a better place to respond to the outbreak should it reach PNG's shores.
Responding very well in terms of supporting countries around the world to draw on the utilities that will assist in containing this particular disease. The nation will be targeted to our main general hospital in our capital city, Port Moresby General Hospital, so they can organize themselves to respond to our efforts in containing this coronavirus disease.
Annette Cora, National EMTV News.
Deputy State of Emergency Controller and Acting Health Secretary Dr. Paisen Dakulala says a targeted sampling will begin in Port Moresby, Lae and all border provinces. The aim is to have around 1,000 tests run each day, with provincial governments setting up testing facilities and isolation wards if a confirmed case surfaces from the targeted testing exercise. The 4,000 test kits arrived in country today. Meanwhile, for Port Moresby, the Rita Flynn complex will be set up for testing and as an isolation ward.
Targeted sampling is an important initiative that is part of what we want to do in terms of scale up, doing the testings throughout the country. And so we want to target the key settings, what we call the hot spot, if you like, settings of Port Moresby and Lae. And they are potential hotspots, so we want to see how the transmission of COVID-19 is. And so in these settings, what will happen is that there are pre-triage areas already initiated within the facilities, health facilities, with the primary function of being to analyze the case definitions and link with the contact tracing. And so this will be where our people will go through the rapid response testing, and our teams will then be properly attired with the appropriate personal protection equipment, and all testing will be conducted in these controlled settings. Our aim is to have the capacity to carry out 1,000 tests across Port Moresby and Lae. We are also training our teams and providing the infrastructure to have the ability to test along our border towns of Wewak, Kiunga, Vanimo, and Daru. We are committed to giving our border towns the capacity to conduct 1,000 tests. Now, all of you, or many of you, would have seen what's happening in the Port Moresby area, National Capital District, and one of those settings is called the Rita Flynn Court. There is facilities that have been built and undergoing a huge transformation. Now, this is where we will have what we call the isolation ward. This is where, if we do have infections of COVID-19, then this is where a big part of our patients will be. Most of these people who will be in this Rita Flynn Court will be mild to moderate, and so we keep them there until the infection is cleared.
PNG Defence Force Commander Major General Gilbert Toropo says PNGDF headquarters at Murray Barracks has denied requests by the Madang provincial government to engage soldiers in any state of emergency exercises as yet in Madang town. Commander Toropo made these comments when asked by EMTV News this morning on the presence of members of the Engineering Battalion in Madang on the request of Madang Governor Peter Yama. Madang MP and Police Minister Brian Kramer said at the moment no orders were given by the national government for the engagement of soldiers and the operation remains illegal. MTV News understands the soldiers were engaged in a road project linking Madang and the Highlands provinces.
I can confirm there is no call out of Defence Force in Madang. The reports I received is some members of the Defence Force that were in IOM Engineer Battalion that have been working on the road. And they were engaged in an awareness program around Madang to shut down Madang. Unfortunately, many of the citizens raised concerns, as I am the member for Madang District, in terms of how they conducted themselves in closing shops and telling people to go back home within doors. So that matter, there was a team, task force team that was sent up on Saturday to do an assessment, both defense and police, because also our ports were closed. I've since yesterday spoke with Puma Energy. They confirmed their ship was turned away, so it did not offload any fuel in Madang, but they confirmed there's 1 month's fuel currently in Madang, and it will return back on the 10th of April to restock Madang. So those members of the force, Defence Force, that were in Madang carrying out, working with the provincial government or giving instructions, as far as I'm aware, their deployment and actions they took were in fact illegal. There's no formal directions that were given out of NOC 19 or by the controller or by NEC or this government. So the matter is now an issue of defense and their senior executives. So they're now running their own investigation to establish what exactly happened in Madang.
Papua New Guineans living in New Zealand have been coping with self-isolation. PNG students of Waikato University and PNG residents in New Zealand are all working together to stay indoors to help fight the transmission of the COVID-19 virus.
The streets of New Zealand are empty with self-isolation for most New Zealanders, and most Kiwis are taking the disease very seriously as the number of cases grow. For Papua New Guineans studying at the University of Waikato, it has been hectic for them, not able to get out to see other fellow countrymen and women and even coursemates. But they remain optimistic and are also getting used to the online lectures, which keeps them indoors. For Hamilton resident Dolores Toram, it was difficult for her children with the self-isolation period, and after 4 days of isolation, it was finally time to go out and enjoy the sidewalk.
But it's been crazy for the kids because they want to go out and about, but they can't go to the playgrounds. Yeah. But this is their first time going out on their scooters and their bikes. What Jacinda Ardern pretty much is trying to do is to stop actually the community spread, because the amount of virus has only been coming into the country from those ones that have travelled overseas.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
And now looking at the NASFAN market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2920 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2845 US, $0.4585 Australian dollars, $0.2498 euro, and 30.05 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading lower. Coffee, cocoa, and copra closed higher. Palm oil and copper closed lower, while crude oil is trading the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 690.70 points higher. The ASX is trading at 104.60 points lower. The All Ordinaries are trading at 83.4 points lower. The day's other stories when we come back, including opposition leader Belden Nama, who files another application against Prime Minister James Marape. Welcome back. Opposition leader Belden Nama has filed a new application challenging the election of James Marape as Prime Minister. The case was dismissed last week because the word reference instead of application was used. This inaccuracy was a matter that the court refused to accept, a clear oversight by opposition leaders' legal counsel. However, despite a decision by the Supreme Court on Friday, Nama says he has no political grudge against the Taripori MP, but to ensure that the business of Parliament is in accordance with the national constitution.
It's been served on the Attorney General.
The opposition leader announced this submission for a fresh application on the legality of the parliamentary process for the election of James Marape as Prime Minister in May 2019. Nama says the decision on Friday 27th of March was not to do with the substantive matters of the application. He says the public needs to know if Marape's election is legitimate.
Decision by the Supreme Court on Friday 27 was not to do with a substantive matter. The Supreme Court on Friday dealt with the competency application filed by James Marape himself. And let me make it very clear. The Supreme Court dealt with the competency application filed by James Marape.
Mr. Nama's lawyers filed the initial court proceedings on 2nd September 2019, 4 months after the appointment of the country's 8th Prime Minister. While the state is focused on the COVID-19 pandemic, the opposition leader says our constitution must be upheld.
It is the duty of the opposition to ensure that the government is kept in check, to ensure that the government is accountable and is transparent to the people of our country. Without a vibrant opposition, we could have a government that can run havoc.
With the Supreme Court handing down its decision last Friday, Nama has ruled out immediate trial by the police minister. He says the opposition will ensure the government is operating the country's business in accordance with the national constitution.
Hence, we have filed yesterday, late in the afternoon, and we have now served the office of the Prime Minister. We are now in the process of serving the office of the Attorney General, and I myself will be serving the Speaker immediately after my press conference.
Jack LaPava Jr., National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Belden Nama has also applauded the government's decision to recall Parliament. He said the 5-band opposition members are prepared to discuss issues surrounding the state of emergency. Nama has also called for the testing of all parliamentarians before the House meets this Thursday, the 2nd of April.
True and transparent democratic process is the cornerstone of our country, the independent state of Papua New Guinea, and we must all stand together to defend our democratic process, no matter how much we are criticized for doing so. And that's what the opposition stands.
In February session of Parliament, we also asked about the likely impact of the coronavirus on our economy.
How long will this continue on for? So those are issues that the government needs to really come out clearly. And if the government can't be able to do that, I think the honest, the best way that the government can, or the Prime Minister and all these ministers can do, is step aside.
The Gogodala people of the Middle Fly District in the Western Province will now be looking forward to their canoe festival every year. Revived after 5 years, it is more than just a festival. The Gogodala Canoe Festival is the heart of their culture. For the canoes tell more than just a race.
It's been 5 years since the people of Gogodala have been able to showcase their culture in this festival. The 3-day event saw over 2,000 people gathered to witness the official opening and then enjoy the canoe racing, cultural dances, and crafts. Middle Fly MP Roy Biama says it must be revived so everyone around the world can enjoy the beauty of the Gogodala culture.
So all these things are going to be seen by every kid of the tribe, so that we will then pass that knowledge back to them as part of education, that we would like to see that they have to know what is really meaning of what a canoe festival is.
Canoes play a crucial role to the Gogodala's everyday life. Each canoe is painted and crafted from 2 clans, the red and white. Young men spend 1 month away from their families to carve the canoe, paint it, and prepare for the canoe racing. The vessels are known for their decorations and artwork showing animal figures representing the 2 clans. Without the canoes and the festival, it will be a loss to their cultural identity.
A festival belum mipla very important. Mipla ino like him by emi finish. Mipla like mas inherited. Something or tumuna karing ka one time. Mipla mas inherited miet na stop. Nagod mipla I lusim identity belum pla tumuna belum pla ba ino embauli hard lol oli kisim.
Prime Minister James Marape, who officiated the opening, committed his support for this cultural festival to continue annually.
Council me and where money slip. Na me come lo encouraging the festival and kind of activities lo go yet now yet you go next year must come up at all time.
And Tourism Minister Emil Tamor says Balimo has untapped potential to becoming a tourism hub.
Your festival, your culture and arts is your identity, your geographically settings and your unique way of living. And this festival is all about that, and at the same time preserving and promoting your culture in life form.
Due to the coronavirus pandemic, no international tourists attended the festival. However, the Gogodala people look forward to welcoming more tourists next year. Lilian Sopera-Kinea, National EMTV News.
True Guys Sports is next. Don't go away.
True Guys Sports.
Welcome to True Guys Sports. The new dates for the Olympics have been released with the games put forward to 2021. The new dates for the Olympics are from the 23rd of July to the 8th of August 2021. New dates have also been agreed on for the Paralympic Games, which will be from the 24th of August until the 5th of September 2021.
The International Olympic Committee, the International Paralympic Committee, the Tokyo 2020 Organizing Committee, the Tokyo Metropolitan Government and the Government of Japan have agreed to new dates for the Games. The announcement made by International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach.
I had a telephone conversation with Prime Minister Abe. There we agreed in the analysis of the development of the virus in the last couple of days, where we see a dramatic increase and outbreak in Africa, in South America, in Oceania and in many parts of the world.
Beck said the health of the athletes and everyone involved was important, and the move is also to support the containment of the COVID-19 virus that continues to spread and to safeguard the interest of the athletes and the Olympics.
In order to safeguard the health of the athletes and everybody involved in the Olympic Games, and to make a contribution to the containment of the coronavirus, we agreed to postpone the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 to 21, latest summer 21.
But organizing a postponed event will be the first and will need a lot of effort by all stakeholders concerned.
This is why we will work hard now to undertake this extremely challenging task of postponing the games and of organizing postponed games, which never happened before. So we have no blueprint for this, and it will need the effort of everybody and the contribution of all to make this happening, because the Olympic Games are the most complex event on this planet.
Felix Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
More stories after the break. Stay with us.
True Guys Sports.
Welcome back to True Guys Sports. To cricket, run machine Devon Conway has been given the green light to represent New Zealand. Conway's been made eligible to play for the Black Caps from later this year on, in what will be a huge boost to the batting department.
He's one of the most exciting batting prospects seen here for some time, and there's now a set date on when Devon Conway could make a long-awaited Black Caps debut.
Well, I always kind of thought that I was going to be eligible from September at some point, but having an exact date is pretty awesome to know.
The ICC's ratified Conway's eligibility to play for New Zealand from August 28 and has even given him dispensation to be picked for the tour to Bangladesh earlier in the month if it goes ahead. The South African-born batsman moved from Johannesburg in 2017, with New Zealand Cricket submitting his documentation for eligibility last month.
Across the three formats, he's a dominating player. The strike rate is right up there. And once he gets in, he's very, very hard to dislodge.
Yeah. He's fast made himself a leading batting figure in the domestic scene. Last season alone, he scored nearly 1,800 runs for Wellington across the formats, including a triple century in the shortened Plunket Shield.
Shot Devon!
and will almost certainly slot straight into the Black Caps or into the New Zealand A side for a tour of India.
I haven't had any specific conversations with Gary and Gav. They've just been sort of brief chats here and there.
That's a distinct opportunity for us to push Devon into that sort of mix.
Where he fits in the order, though, is the big question, whether as an opener or in the middle.
He bats top order for Wellington. He opens or bats number 3, and that's where all his big runs have come from.
For now, though, Conway's stuck inside like everyone else. The only thing stopping his quite impressive batting talents that now looks certain to be displayed on the international stage.
As the lockdown continues in New Zealand, some of the country's most promising young swimmers may be feeling so lucky to have a home pool right now. As Scotty Stevenson discovered, the training must continue, and that's led to a very Kiwi solution.
Auckland's Central City swimmers are still making a splash, but with plenty of strings attached. Lucy McKinnon, one of a number of age group up-and-comers, going to, well, no lengths to keep their training on track.
I guess at training you're forced to swim, and everyone around you is pushing you to do it too. So doing everything by yourself without the facilities is quite challenging.
With public venues and their HQ out of bounds, frolics in the family pool have been replaced by gut-busting bungee sessions. And that means some extra work for dads like Paul Kenny, who's taking no credit for son Sam's concept.
Pretty much did it themselves, got ready to go, dragged me in, almost dragged me in literally on the first go because I didn't realise how powerful he was.
So this is really short, fast intensity to get the heart rate going, which is something that we don't do that often because it's maybe not our main focus. So it's definitely good to switch it up. Yeah.
Good for strength building.
Yeah.
I think.
And whether you're tied to your dad, tied to the edge, tied to the hedge, or tied to the fence, Lucy knows her coach at least is watching every move.
She wants a video daily and a text daily of different things that we've done, how we're feeling, and it might drive you a bit insane, but hopefully just can keep going.
And just where will that coach be watching from? Well, here. Sandra Burrow, world record surf lifesaver, on her balcony, where unfortunately she does not have a pool. But in stressful times like these, you just gotta breathe.
You're watching National EMTV News, the weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back.
True Kai Sport. True Kai Sport.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region: Port Moresby, partly cloudy with chances of a shower or two. Daru, cloudy with rain showers. Popondetta, Kerema and Alotau, partly cloudy with chances of a few showers. Over to the Momase region in Lae, Medang and Wewak, cloudy with chances of a shower or two, while in Vanimo, cloudy with thundery showers. Over to the New Guinea Islands, Lorengau and Kavieng, cloudy with thundery showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy with a few showers. Kimbe and Buka, cloudy with rain showers. While finally in the Highlands region, across all centres, cloudy with a few showers and drizzles.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
And that ends National EMTV News. Just a pleasant reminder, EMTV will be showing you coverage of the COVID-19 updates tomorrow on both our EMTV television station as well as our Facebook page, EMTV Online. On behalf of the news team, good night.